picture of my dad with me. He, on Monday, he got out of prison after 44 years. And he's proof that you can be behind bars and still be the most loving, kind father that any son could have. And so I want to honor him. J. Douglas Barker, I love you. I got from New York this amazing symbol of obedience to our Father in heaven, who they call Hashem. He's our friend. And I want to honor someone who has become a great friend in my life through a lot of journey and discovery, where we could reevaluate and rediscover who we are and what the backbone of our existence is. And it rests with the creator of all things, seen and unseen. And whether you are a child of him following any faith, you are following him in one degree or another. And one drop of water that we share is enough for us to make a great cloud. So I put this one. I'm going to share a song with you to welcome him here, and it's about us coming and going together, that there's a sun that's about to rise. And when it happens, everybody will know when they see us go that we've given our prayers and that the Creator is walking with us and is shining through us. We have to do our part for this place this Chibo-Wamen, this great womb that our spirits are dwelling within equally, for it to work for our good. And so I'm going to leave an acronym with you before I sing. But we have to do our part. We have to pray always in the way that you know how to do it. We have to act with faith that our prayer was not only received, it was heard and is being answered in the way that is best for you. You have to rely on the Spirit to do what you will never be able to do. Most of the work is not done by you. And we have to trust that the Lord always keeps his promises. And he does. And we're here. And we're together. So this is our prophecy song about these times. Because my Father in heaven knew that my brother, Yossi Schulman, was waiting for me at the moment I was born. And the same for him. And it's an honor for him and his son to be here today. Ambe majada jibwa bidabeng kiga nimegumen kaina gonen geing oma ambe majada jibwa bidabeng Kiga nimegumen kaina gonen geing oma ambe majada jibwa bidabeng kiga nimegumen Kaina gonen geing oma. Chimig witch. We're only the first, but we're not going to be the last. Thank you. I'm excited for tomorrow.
Rabbi Yossi Schulman is the CEO and president of Unite the World and director of Unite to Study. His vision to advance humanity to peace, kindness, and unity through the 7 universal principles, and he focuses on collaboration with faith, organizations, and people from around the world that share his mission. One of his signature model programs is the ARK, A-R-K, Acts of Random Kindness, charity project of Luzerne and Lackawanna counties, an adaptation of the 2014 concept into a replicable community-wide model for individual and institutional giving to local humanitarian charities. He is driven by the awareness that all people are loved by and can connect to our higher power and Creator, and the value of our existence is therefore absolute. Rabbi Yossi Schulman. Let's put these on you. One more. There, okay.
Hello. Hello. Shalom. Shalom. Thank you all for being here today. This is a pleasure and honor to see you, to greet you, and it is a historic moment. I wanted to first give my utmost gratitude to Brian Nettles, to Shane Baldwin, Johan Ellis, and my good friend Dave Midegah Taylor, and really all of you for making this happen, and for all those who will be watching this around the world. This event is a homecoming for me and for the Jewish nation that I represent. I was born here, Madison, Wisconsin. My father and mother met at Wisconsin University, and I'm back now after 35 years. But more importantly, this is a homecoming for my people. Because this conversation that we are having now has been our task, the task of our nation that we were given 3,335 years ago, which is to unite the entire world in recognition of our Creator and in following His path for all humanity. And therefore, all of you are part of this integral mission. We are all a product of our ancestors, living out, manifesting their stories, and at some point all of our stories will converge. We share this story of the first human to walk this earth, Adam, in Hebrew Adam, or as the indigenous would say, Midegah. This man from whom was fashioned his mate Chava, which means mother of all life, they lived in constant awareness of their Creator, because that's what they lived. That's how they were made. But ultimately, they sought a deeper relationship. And in trying to find their Creator from their own existence, they started humanity on a path of self-determination at all costs. And that led even to denial of the Creator and our responsibility to His laws. And ultimately, that led to the destruction of the world through the Great Flood. But humanity always carried that story of the creation. And there was one man who survived that, Noah, and his family, and he taught his family after him the story of creation and the message that the Creator had given for all humanity. And 10 generations later came Abraham, again, to bring that message to the world. In Genesis 18, verse 18, God tells Abraham, "You will become a great nation and a blessing to all other nations, because you teach to your household to guard the path of God, to do kindness and justice." That's why the Jews were chosen, to guard this path. And what is that path? The same path that was given 10 generations earlier to Noah and 10 generations earlier to Adam. If you or I would make a machine, a car, a coffee machine, whatever it would be, and be marketed to others, we would obviously have to make a manual, some type of guide to how to use this machine. Surely this would apply the same to our complex inner world and outer world. If we are meant to use it properly, there must be a guide and a manual that was given from the beginning of time and is still relevant today. Adam, Noah, Melchizedek, Shem, Abraham, they're all described in the Bible as righteous, whereas the inhabitants of Sodom were evil. But what did they practice that determined this righteousness? Were they Jewish, Christian, LDS, Islam, Buddhist? What were they? They kept 7 universal principles. And these are they. First is belief in God. And then we have to respect God, all human life, proper human relationships, the rights and property of others, all living creatures. And finally, we are obligated to establish a society of righteous education, a system of justice, and proper conduct for society. That includes giving charity, taking care of others. And that's the 7. So those 7 principles were given to the Jewish nation to share with humanity. And in order for us not to lose sight of that mission for thousands of years, God gave us 613 more commandments. Say, you got to keep those and make sure you're going to pass on the right message. But in that message, we're not trying to make converts here. In fact, the Jewish laws make it very difficult to sign up. If anybody knows, the final step for men is actually quite a painful operation. I don't have my knife over here, so. But it's not a very welcoming, so to speak, a welcoming religion to convert to. It's a very, because to convert, that means you got to keep that mission always for all humanity. So I don't know if any takers among the men, but this brings us to discussion that we may have some common ground here. We talk about the Nephi, about the lost tribes of Israel, traditions, prophecies, scrolls. What is the Jewish perspective, the source about all this? I've learned about your traditions. I've learned from you. I've learned because I'm a student of the world, and I believe that we need to have respect for others, and we need to have an open ears, which I know you are blessed to have, and that is amazing. And I've learned from David and from the natives of that came here before this country became America. But we have the similar traditions, many, and it's striking. The Nephi people, the star who traveled here during the time frame of Shalmaneser of Assyria, who expelled the 10 tribes of Israel, which was around the time of the destruction of the first temple. And it's interesting, is one of the greatest mysteries of all Jewish history is where the tribes have gone. There are many traditions, dozens of claims of where they may have gone to. There's actually one scholar, mystic, Menashe ben Israel, who claimed that there were tribes that went to America. So there's a debate among the great scholars in the great compendium of Jewish law and the deliberations of that law called the Talmud. And there's a question of whether the tribes will return after they've been lost, even to themselves. They don't remember they're going to be Jewish. So will they return or not? And there's some of the leading authorities in Jewish law that say they will. In the end time, they will come back. They will find themselves, so they will be found. So for us to understand from the Jewish perspective the valuation of these traditions, the valuation of these scrolls that you have, and beautiful what I've been shown, and how striking the similarities are, we have to first understand what makes the Jewish people give credence to their traditions and their laws. What is our belief that propels all these things and for us to follow those 613 commands today? It all stems from one event. Our belief in God, our belief in the Torah, the 5 books of Moses. Torah actually means lesson. It doesn't mean history, it means lesson, because it's a living lesson today. It all comes from the one time where our entire nation of 600,000 males from the age of 20 to 60, plus, let's say about 3 million total, they all witnessed God speak to Moses at Mount Sinai, 10 Commandments. And after that was written down these 5 books of Moses that God transmitted to him, and they were actually written on a rock. For those, the first time they were written on a rock, not on a scroll. 12 rocks, they wrote one for each tribe and placed in the Jordan River. But that was the first time. And afterwards, written on scrolls, and along that was handed the tradition that goes on to explain the Torah, because it is it cannot be understood, as I will tell you. You cannot understand it without the traditions that come along with it. And those traditions are passed down, father to son, teacher to student, from an unbroken line that we have the records of from that time till now. And of these traditions and how the 5 books of Moses are learned. So to explain the actual scroll of the 5 books of Moses. So this scroll that we read from every week, 3 times a week we read from it. There's a portion divided into 53 portions for all the weeks of the year. Let me start again, actually starting pretty soon. So that scroll is made up of 304,800 some letters, 805 letters. And if one of those letters is broken in some way, the entire scroll cannot be used. And this scroll is identical. There are tens of thousands of these scrolls that are read in synagogues throughout the world, and they are exactly the same. And they have been the same for all the scrolls we have, going back hundreds, some more than 1,000 years old. The exact same ones that describe the exact same story, the exact same laws. I'll show you one here. This is actually one that's written, one of the Jewish commands. My son Mendel is here. He's just turned 13. In Jewish religion, if you turn 13, you're a man. You have to start keeping the commands, all 613. And we wear, this one of the commands is we put these scrolls upon our heart and our eyes to remember on our head, and to remember that we must keep our focus, our heart and mind to God. So here's a scroll that the scribe wrote just for him. It's a parchment and on the quill and special ink. And this is only one very small portion of the Torah. It's actually on this section right over here. You'll see the prayer, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord is one. Lord is our God, the Lord is one." And that's the big dalet. If you know the Gemara, the big dalet there at the end for the 4 corners of the world. God is everywhere. So this actually is about $1,000 worth. And because he missed one letter in this scroll, he had to write it all over again. And we wear this, and the order, we wore 2, one of these on the arm, and one actually divided the 4 portions in the head. And there's actually a similar one we put on the wall. And actually there's a debate among the scholars about which order we should put it in, because that would make, you spend another $2,500 and make another pair that we use. So we found 2 pairs because of different traditions, not even with letters of which are correct, but which order they are in the to be put into the scroll. So do you see how much value placed upon these scrolls? They are holy; they cannot be desecrated. And I can pass this around. You're definitely welcome to look at this. So that's what makes this true for us. All the prophets that came later, the miracles, they are all here to bolster that original covenant that we had with God. Isaiah, his prophecies, all that is, he meant not to make a new covenant. He cannot change that which was given in the 5 books of Moses, because we all witnessed it. So you can't come and tell me my father saw something different, because he didn't. He didn't tell me that. We all witnessed the same thing. If he's coming to anything, he can reinvigorate that covenant. He can renew that covenant, but it's the same one. It will never, ever change. And even, there was an interesting video clip that went around. Even those people who don't observe the 613 commandments as the Jewish commands that were given from the beginning of time, and this is only a new phenomenon for the past couple hundred years. But there was a clip of someone who said they were rabbi, and they were reading to show they'd given legitimacy for their cause. They were reading from the Torah scroll about they were trying to show, and they were reading this as a support for those who claim to say that our nation of our homeland, Israel, is not ours. And they opened up the portion and started reading the section that says, God says, "I will provide you the land I will give you to your forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." And her voice goes a little quiet as she reads those words. And you can see that on YouTube. But they read the same Torah, Either we have different beliefs, but the same scroll. The same scroll. So that's why we will always stay and die for our traditions, because we know it's true. Because we have that unbroken line of tradition, because we have that witness of all of our people that never happened to anywhere else in history. As God says in Deuteronomy, never again and never ever before has an entire nation witnessed God give and speak to them and live. So that's why we're here. But what are we here for? We're not here just for the Jewish nation, because God created a lot of humanity. If it were meant to be only Jews, then He only created Jews. But we go back to that statement that God made to Abraham in Genesis. I'm choosing the Jewish people, your descendants, because you've shown to be an example of how you can care for others. There was no other Jews then. He carried a message to people around the world that God is here. God is in your life. And we have to live with that, that divine, be a divine illuminator to those around us. So, we brought this proclamation to this message to the native indigenous tribes in New York with my friend David, and we made a proclamation, which I think Brian will show you what that proclamation, and it describes this meeting of the Jews with the rabbis, some leading rabbis, including the regional rabbi in this area, who we affirm that we have similar traditions, the 7 grandfather teachings, 7 laws of Noah, 7 universal principles. And we affirm this truth that we all came from the same place. We all have this tradition of the Torah. Is that true testament to that scroll? And this is signed by the rabbis and signed by the chiefs of our tradition, that we will always hold together, and a message for the world to follow these 7 universal principles and make a better world, make a united world. And what's interesting also is they also believe there's going to be an 8th fire, there's 7 fires and 8th fire, the same thing, same teachings in our Torah. There's a 7th age, which is the age of redemption, which is happening soon. And there's an 8th era, that 8th is as symbolized by David's 8-string harp, that will be take us beyond the 7 days of nature to a world that is beyond. So we will be bringing this proclamation around the world, and we hope that other nations, those that are maybe not necessarily, if it's not a government, but it could be an indigenous tribe that follows their roots, those will be the ones to sign on. And what are our shared beliefs? Because we need to share that. We live in a world that is so divided, that is so lost. Even in our own community, people are losing hope. People don't know the vision for the future. We have to restore that. We have to share our voice. We must come together and share our beliefs that we know to be the same. And I look forward to, as David mentioned to me, there's this scrolls that you have in Canada that have that same words in Hebrew. I look forward to seeing those. And where we know what will happen, when will this be fully discovered and known to Jewish people and made a decision by Jewish law that these are the tribes that will come back, I can't tell you right here and now when that will happen and how that will happen. That's part of our redemption process in gathering the exiles. However, what I can tell you is that if we do share traditions and we do share stories, then we must share a vision and a mission to the world. We must share the 7 universal principles and bring people back to kindness, to proper lifestyle, to caring for each other, being real. So I'm going to share with you this project that we started, because part of the 7th principle of making a world of justice, a world of kindness, is teaching everyone to give charity every day. Make it part of your life. Start your day with an act of kindness. Don't just do it once. You do it many times a day, but start your day with an act of kindness. So we have the ARC, Acts of Random Kindness Charity Project. And we'll show you what it's about soon, a video of that. Give me a second, I'll show you a video of that. But it's about Starting your day with a charity box, give a coin or a bill into charity, and make that, put it on your shelf, make a symbol of hope and kindness. And this is what our family, our home is centered on. And teach it to your children, your grandchildren, your friends. This charity box we want, which is symbolized like the Ark of Noah, to rise above the challenges that we have in our world and the petty differences we have. Your team, my team, politics, we can rise above that. Even as we want the best for ourselves and for others, we must unite, even with those who disagree with us, and share a message of kindness. So I'm going to give one to each of you today. My son's going to pass them out. And I'm going to ask you to take one to your home and fill it up. And it's filled, give it to someone in need that you know. Don't give it to me. You can support my organization, Unite the World, unitetheworld.org/donate to share this message to everyone. But the products, that coin box that you're going to give it to someone local in need. And if you can give it with your business or your school together, you can multiply your kindness. And that's what we're doing. We're doing community-wide in businesses, in schools, universities, colleges, senior housing. Everyone can give together and make a bigger impact together. Because everyone has value. Everyone is loved by our Creator. And when we can show love to another, we prove to ourselves with that experience that we are also loved. So we need to share that message with everyone. So that's our first message of Unite the World, is acts of random kindness. And we can show the video of what this looks like out of school. We'll show you a message that I shared with the kids there. And I see some children in our group here. We're all children. We're all in the process of learning. But for those that are young and still have a life to learn, what we must teach our children more than math and science and how to get a job is how to be moral, how to be kind, how to be real. And we must teach our children how to be kind every day. We must teach our children that this is the most valuable thing in their lives. We must teach them the 7 universal principles, because our generation going forward, with all the pain we've had in the past, and especially what's happened, the Jewish nation has experienced so much pain, especially October 7th. And the indigenous tribes have experienced so much pain. And what was that all for? We can't fix that pain. We can't change that back. That pain should motivate us to go forward and share a message that has not been lost, that we've carried through all those times. And I know you've all been in your personal lives, have gone through challenges, extreme challenges. And not one to shy from that challenge. My wife she would be with me here now, but besides for she's recovering from a 10-year debilitating Lyme disease that she's with here in spirit and all with all of you. But, going through that and her recovery, which she's getting divine guidance for, that message is, what do we go through pain and suffering challenge for, is only to make us more committed to our mission. So I share with you, for anyone who that wants something in life to share and believes that we can make a difference, that our world can change for the better. It starts from you, from your one act of kindness, and from sharing that with someone else. And ultimately, we will unite the world. So, Brian, you can share a message, and we'll show how it looks in person at the school. So what you're seeing there is a number of children in a school. Several schools that we've done this already at. We've done it at universities and campuses, at senior housing, businesses, and they give together to a charity they vote on, local. And then they get to see what that charity does for the needy in their own town. Teaches them about kindness, teaches them they can make a difference. And I know this will be shared with you in your community. Our leader, the Jewish leader and the master taught us, and he received people from all over the world. His name is Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson. And he taught us that all people have a part in this vision, this mission. He ascended leadership in 1951. And towards the end, 1988, 1990s, he was talking incessantly about the need to talk to everyone in the world about this mission, the 7 universal principles. And that if we did this, we'd go back to that Garden of Eden we had from the beginning of time, just now with all of our individual experiences, building that into one beautiful picture. But he said to us, I can't do this job alone. Even he who talked, they say he received more mail than anyone besides the President of the United States. He said, I can't do this alone, now I give it over to you. And he didn't say just to the Jewish people, he said to all people of the world, I give this challenge over to you. Can you share these principles? Can you share the message of kindness and hope and peace with every single person? Can you educate the youth? Can you educate yourself? Can you care and reach out to someone in need who is not necessarily from some even part of your faith? Maybe not even someone that you know next door, but somebody that you know is in need, that you know could use it. So I appreciate you being here because I need you. You are part of this vision. I cannot unite the world without you. It's not about me. If my great master and leader, Rabbi Schneerson, could not do it, I definitely cannot do it. But I know that with all of us together we can. So I ask you, if you can help support me to share this message by each one of these charity boxes. With $1 can change a life and buy a message of hope that will give experience to a child, to someone who's in business, to family, to senior, and that will change their lives. We've had our feedback from the kids, from old people who have said, a couple of weeks I've done this project have literally changed my life more than anything else. I've become a kinder person, helped out more in the family, helped out my grandparents, cared for someone down the block, cared for the community. This changes their life. So you can support it. You can do the act yourself and give a charity box to someone else. You can share an act of kindness on social media. We want to get 1 million acts of random kindness on social media, where people will be creating a culture of kindness around the world. That's what the news will say. The papers should print about kindness, not about division and hate. We have so much challenges with our youth, and unfortunately just having the school shootings. Terrible. But it's because we're not teaching our kids morals. We're not teaching our kids to be kind, to give, that they make a difference, that they are needed. If we do that, where the hate disappears, they become a valuable part of our society. So thank you very much. I'm happy to answer some questions, but most importantly, know that I'm relying on you, each one of you, to be part of this mission to unite the world. Thank you very much.
What you'll see there on the top left are 2 stars. On the left is the 8-pointed star. You'll see this in all the medicine blankets across North America. No one ever asked, where's that come from? That comes from the Midegah we win, the path of kindness, or the path of the heart, when the peacemaker came to us. But it came earlier than that. It came 2,500 years ago from a little boy. We're going to talk about this tomorrow. A teenage boy who was with some elders and some girls. And that they made an agreement with us. We call it Nehiyah, what? A blood confederacy. And so when we draw the 8-pointed star, it's the same way that... What happened? Hey, Brian. When we draw the 8-pointed star, it's the same way that we make the star lodge. The Star Lodge is a sacred place that we go into for learning. This boy was brought through our communities by this elder, all of our communities, and he taught us about the Creator's Lodge. This is the traditional teachings of the Ojibwe people. And because of where we were in nature and what we had, we fashioned this thing, this Star Lodge to go into, and it's drawn by taking two sticks that are bound together in all directions. So we do the two sticks, north and south, the two sticks, east and west, and the two sticks in the angles. And it makes an 8-pointed star, but it also makes two stars of David overlapping. And this is the first place of commonality that we have, this sacred symbol that we carry even to this day. And I was just in Mississauga with the elders of the Midegah, Mose Shkode and Ogig Wanabik. And these are the principal elders of the Midegah what they have carried in the prophecies to this time was meaningful enough that we talked of these things and these significant things that we share in common. Over a 2-year period, we worked with the Orthodox rabbis who I don't think they get along really with anybody, but they get along with us. And now they're here with you. But we should remember this shouldn't be confusing when they say, how is it that you have portions of the Torah in your birch bark scrolls? How is it possible? And we tell the story of the boat that froze in the water. We tell the story of those that also came from the south, that came in a boat from the same experience. We share our history, and we show something you can touch. And it is also something that involves you. Never forget that in the very first chapter of the Book of Mormon, Mormon was an Indian. And he kept alive what was the better part of a vast record that was going to be destroyed. Not all of it was destroyed. About 2 feet of it still exists to this day. And in the very first chapter, it records that the very first thing that a man named Lehi did was he sent his boys. He sent Nephi and Samuel, Laman and Lemuel, and said, I need you to go back. I need you to go get the records of my ancestors because they mean something. And even to this day, the Ojibwe must stand up and declare 7 generations back. And it's a great honor that I can do that because I know they're with me. And he said, but I also want you to get the 5 books of Moses. That's the Torah. And it needs to come. And if that's true, and he brought that with him, then we should find that in our records, and we do. And we're going to talk about this tomorrow, and about an open invitation and an address where anybody's welcome to come, and everybody's welcome to touch and to learn and absorb who we are and who we were. And we know that as our families were, is how your families are now, and we must go back. So I'm going to read this to you. November 9th, 2023, 25 Shesh... Listen, I don't read so well, but you got to bear with me here. 25 Sheshvan, sorry, Rabbi, 5,784. We meet to acknowledge understanding shared by the Midegah elders, Dudaman Ogimaz. These are our clan chiefs. The Yogichi Dag. These are our traditional warriors. They're the ones that protect the sacred teachings and ordinances. And the Anishinaabe Ojibwe people, and the sages of the Jewish people, and to proclaim, Section 1, acknowledging the one Creator. We begin by recognizing the one Creator of the world and all of humanity. In our shared belief, this Creator is the source of all existence, and all things and all people are encompassed together by the Creator's complete unity. Section 2, the Universal Divine Code. We acknowledge that the Creator established a path of virtuous living for all of humanity from the time that the first human being was created. When the great flood ended, the Creator ordained it again as the 7 Noahide commandments. The Creator incorporated this universal divine code into the eternal Torah teachings that he imparted to the Jewish people through Moses at Mount Sinai, and that is the sacred source for its observance from that time on. How sacred is the Torah? The Old Testament came an English translation from a German translation, of a Latin translation, of a Greek translation, of the papers they could find in Hebrew. Go read the Torah. Section 3, the 7 universal principles. They are 7 universal principles of morality that emerge from the 7 commandments. They say Noach, you say Noah, we say Nusa, the Father. We share something in common. These principles provide an objective moral compass for all individuals and nations to embrace, and a shared foundation for righteous living, to recognize the higher power, to have respect for the higher power, all human life, permissible family relationships and marriages, and other people's property and monetary rights, and all living creatures, to respect and uphold a righteous system of justice. The Creator entrusted the followers of the Jewish faith with the solemn duty to disseminate the Torah's 7 universal principles to all of humanity. In this endeavor, the first colonialists, they mirror mission, the noble mission undertaken by their forebear Abraham, who illuminated the path for people to acknowledge, thank, and call upon the Creator. It is with a spirit of kindness and unity that the Anishinaabe traditional community embraces the profound validity of the Torah. It's our grandfather book, and yours too. For the people of the nations to settle the world in peaceful and just coexistence. Section 4, the Anishinaabe 7 grandfather teachings that apply to every aspect of your life, that there's wisdom to know there's one Creator. We show respect because to all things, because the Creator is in all things seen and unseen. That we show humility, that because in creation we see that mankind is a sacred creation of the Creator, and so therefore we must protect and safeguard human life. We show honesty that if this is true, the walk that an individual has with the Creator is not yours to disrupt. Their property is not yours to take. What is given to them is not yours to remove. And we know that David taught us this great lesson when he talked about Saul. And regardless of the man, he would honor the ordination. That if this is true, then we show truth that all animals, all living things, even the mosquito, are in a sacred journey, an Oji-Chagwan, a spirit within a vessel, and they have a purpose. So walk lightly and with restraint. Take only what you need. And live this way with courage, that your body is a sacred vessel, a temple of your spirit, which is eternal. Chibo woman is what we would say. And when we do these things, then we can show real love, which is we can deal with equity and justice, not just with each other, but with this earth too. And all your unborn generations that are holding the hands of your ancestors in prayer that you will bridge the gap. We wholeheartedly acknowledge, honor, and support. This is the Jewish rabbis, the venerable tradition of the 7 grandfather teachings from Nusa, the Father, that have been deeply ingrained in the Anishinaabe spirits lowered. You're Anishinaabe too. Don't get caught up on language. The Creator made it when he dropped that mountain, that tower. Deeply ingrained in the Anishinaabe culture for at least 2,500 years, a boat arrived. And we have a record of this. And so do you. Passed down through their documented heritage as originating from the time of creation of humankind and renewed after the great flood. These teachings impart timeless wisdom, urging individuals to nurture and embody the virtues of wisdom, respect, humility, honesty, truth, courage, and love, with the goal to live a good life in harmony with the Creator's intentions. Section 5, a profound alignment of purpose. We acknowledge a profound alignment between the 7 grandfather teachings and the Torah's 7 universal principles, both of which underscore the fundamental duty of all individuals and societies to engage in acts of benevolence and to strive for just and lasting peace. Moreover, these teachings emphasize the paramount importance of parents instilling such values in the hearts of their progeny, their children, and it's time for us to take that back. This mandate encompasses the act of extending charity and supporting judicious stewardship of resources vital to sustaining life on earth. Section 6, the daily journey. We believe that the space between your breath and a heartbeat is a ceremony. The ways of the 7 grandfather teachings and 7 universal principles are intended to be strived for daily. With deep sincerity, we beseech all individuals, communities, tribes, and nations to unite with us in this noble endeavor to rectify the deviations from these ways that exist in the personal level and in the world around us. And even the peacemaker himself highlighted the first 3 and 2. We should love our Father in heaven with our heart, might, mind, and soul. And we should deal with each other with such kindness that I do to you what I would expect you to do to me. Shouldn't be surprising. He was a Jew. The long-awaited arrival of the Messianic era, Section 7. We solemnly declare that through diligent adherence to the principles and teachings outlined above, humanity will increasingly radiate the divine likeness in which they are fashioned, thus expediting the arrival of the Messianic era, a time characterized by enduring harmony, kindness, and unification. The dawn of this era is upon us. This is our generation. And it is imperative that the knowledge of the transformation be disseminated to all, so that they may gain enlightenment and understanding. This vision of unity and harmony is not only a hope, but a shared responsibility for all humanity. We are going around to all of the indigenous tribes of the world, even right now. There are chiefs from various nations that are in Southeast Asia, that are in Africa, that are in Central Asia, that are finding that drop of water that remains. You would call that a remnant. And what is the word remnant if not what remains? And even if a grain of sand remains, a single drop of water remains. All of our drops of water will make a great cloud. And how great is our Creator? Our Creator tells a single drop of water in the ocean, when it rises, it will water an entire continent and bring life to generations. Our Creator that fashions a womb that brings life in one day, in 9 months, or in 2 years, because it's His will, and there is nothing that is impossible to the Creator, that sustains even your spirit and your living cells moment to moment, right this very moment. We are here because you are meant to be here. We are alive now because this was destined for you before you came here. And they believe in a pre-existence too, and so do we. We would say, Ana Shanabeg, spirits lowered. Oji Chagwan, I'm a spirit in a body. And Ojibways, I'm recording a vision and a story with the Creator. If I'm speaking truth, and we will talk more about this tomorrow and what's going to happen, as an Ogima of the Adik Dudem, as the carrier of the Ojibwe bundle of the Ojibwe peoples, which I will show you tomorrow, that I can say to you that you are Ojibwe too, and that you are in my family, you are in my tribe, and the division must end. That our stories are a story of a circle, and it's time for us to sit around the fire together again. So Miigwech, which means thank you, and we will talk tomorrow.